Okay, you're in Erie, Pennsylvania, and we are in Presque Isle Park. And in Presque Isle Park, there's a monument to Commodore Oliver Hazard Perry, who was a big hero in the War of 1812. Now, what did he do in the Hoax-Lie war system, or the Hoax War of 1812? Supposedly, he secured Lake Erie in a great battle against the British on Lake Erie in the year 1813. September the 10th, 1813, which September is 9. The day is the 10th, and that's your 9/1. And then as you get interested and you buy into the hoax or the Hoax-Lie system and the hoax history, you supply the next one. So it becomes a 9/11 hoax. And of course, it's topped off with a phallic symbol or an obelisk, the male symbol, and then surrounded by a circle, or the female symbol. You can see it going around the edge out there. So let's talk just a little bit about the Hoax War of 1812. Basically, here's what I think happened. America was hoaxed with the American Revolutionary War, which supposedly came to an end in 1781, and then officially the Treaty of Paris is conducted and concluded in 1783. Now, one should be suspicious right there that the war ends and then 2 years later there's a treaty. That's because all the lawyers had to get together and set everything up in such a way that it would be the Hoax-Lie system. So what happens? Time marches on, and people that are living here in the U.S., or known as America, are beginning to get suspicious that something wasn't right. They're told about all these tremendous battles and how the American farmers got together and somehow, under the leadership of the phony George Washington, defeated the greatest military power in the world. Now remember, Great Britain was the greatest military power on land and on sea. This was clearly established after the Spanish Armada was defeated and England became the supreme ruling power. And by the way, that hasn't changed at all. It's still true to this day. Okay? So, as time marches on, ordinary folks are beginning to sense that something isn't right. They look around and they see a few people that live in the neighborhood, and they're wondering, how did they get all these thousands of armed farmers to go out and fight the redcoats? They are beginning to realize it's all a fairy tale. It's all a myth. It's all one big lie. And they get highly suspicious of everything. All the stories that were fed to them. And the facts don't add up, because they know who they are. basically, they were people who came over here to farm. And they may have had a horse or a cow, or they may have had a rusty old musket somewhere and a few musket balls and a pitchfork. And that's about it. So they begin to put it all together and they say, how in the world could this possibly been true? And besides, most of the folks that were here came from England. Why would people come from England to kill English people? None of it made any sense. So, as they question, and as they research, and as they explore, obviously, a tremendous amount of questioning, doubting, begins to emerge. And the people begin to demand answers. And they want to see documents. They're not dumb. They're intelligent people who came over from England. They want to see documents. They're highly suspicious of King George and his bunch in England. Some of them, yea, even know about witchcraft because the Puritans came over, and the Puritans understood spiritual powers. And many of the places were centers of great spiritual input from the Holy Bible, the churches. And folks got together and said, something's not right. And they wanted documents. So the hoaxers decided, let's just prove it again that Americans can defeat the British. Hence the War of 1812. So you're looking at, what, about 30 years after the end of American Revolutionary War, which would give folks plenty of time to begin to figure out it's all nonsense. It's all lies. It couldn't possibly have been true that this happened. So they may have decided they were going to put a rush on the White House where the documents were stored. Hence, the War of 1812. And the big thing that happened is not here on Lake Erie, because this is all a bunch of baloney about piracy on the seas. No, it was about documents. It was about, we think you've lied to us about our history. So the hoax liars figured it's best to just burn everything and not let there be any evidence of the true history of this land, which is just some folks came over from England to get away from persecution, and that would be your Puritans, your Pilgrims and their descendants, who were very strong Bible believers. And as Bible believers, they would have been highly suspicious of witchcraft occurring upon them and upon the land. Hence, they wanted to see documents. The White House was burned intentionally in the name of the British. And once again, Americans triumph over the greatest naval power and the greatest on-land force, England, in the War of 1812. That's my version. I believe I'm correct. And I know you're going to consult your history books, which are just fairy tale books. And I know there's going to be people that will write something in comment section. He's really crazy. No, man, it's more crazy to think some dude who has the middle name of Hazard, Oliver Hazard Perry, defeats the greatest naval power in history, the British, on Lake Erie. And by the way, right here, it's a little far away, but I'll show it to you separately, on one of the plaques that talk about Oliver Hazard Perry, Commodore Perry, it says he was terribly afraid of cows and would go hundreds of yards out of his way to get around cows. Well, that is the same man who defeated the British on Lake Erie. Come on, they're telling you. They're telling you when they say, oh, by the way, he was so afraid of cows, he had to go hundreds of yards away from them. It's just hoax history, folks. That's all it is. Hoax history. A 911 hoax with a phallic symbol to prove it, with an obelisk in honor of the sun god, in honor of Baal, to make in your mind the idea that once again, just simple folks here in America who wanted to get away from persecution in England and start over and have a farm, have some animals on the farm, raise a family, that's all they really wanted. That those folks defeated the greatest naval power and land power in the world, England. Come on, people, wake up. War of 1812, just another hoax war for you to put in your hoax history books. I'd like you to go to the one who is the way, the truth, and the life, the Lord Jesus Christ, in His Holy Bible. This is the book that has the truth. Thy word is truth, said Jesus. Thank you for watching.